Hey everyone, welcome to our Humans of IT panel. Today we are going to talk about creating real human connection in virtual reality and some of the other types of reality that's out there. So when I think of events, I think about all those serendipitous moments, running into people, having those random conversations you might never had, except you were in the same place with somebody else and maybe overheard something or something about them caught you. And one of the best examples I've had of that in virtual reality was actually last March at the Microsoft Ignite conference when we had the keynote in virtual reality. And I was hanging out before the show, talking to people in the aisles at that space. And I thought, wow, even though I'm not there physically, this is really kind of the next best thing to being there physically. So that's what I think about when I think of real human connection here. And what I'd like to do is introduce four amazing panelists, people who I know are doing really cool things in these virtual spaces. And what I'd like to know, and I'll start with Alex, with you, I'll just go alphabetically to begin with. So Alex Blanton, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and tell us something that you have been missing from in-person events. What do you love about being there with other people in real life?
Sure, thank you, Kathy. I'm a program manager at Microsoft. I work in the office of the CTO. And my focus is on our internal technical communities and conferences. So creating opportunities for our own employees to learn from one another, share what they know with one another, and connect with one another. So I work a lot on events. And what I miss most about the in-person events is similar to what Kathy said, is just the serendipitous moments when you run into someone who you haven't seen in a while. You weren't planning to run into them, but you see them in the hallway, you spend some time talking with them. I think events are great for the content and the information that's conveyed, but so much of the value is those random encounters where you can reconnect people you might meet you weren't planning to meet up with. And we don't have that a lot with a lot of our virtual events, but I think VR can provide a venue where that can happen much more easily.
Awesome, thank you. And CR, why don't you tell us a little about yourself and what you love about in-person events?
So my name is CR Capers. I am the founder and CEO of the Harlem Film House and the Harlem Metaverse. I am a live event producer for the culture. I create opportunities and entrepreneurship through the arts. So what does that mean? That means I produce large-scale events, from festivals to theater productions to you name it. So Alex, I'm hoping to work with you very soon, my brother. So what I miss about live events was just that, being able to say hi to Alex, connect with him, and tell him what I do, and also the economy. So as a nonprofit, we lost a lot of economy with COVID. So virtual reality and the metaverse allowed us to save ourselves and just open up a new swath of opportunities for ourselves and for others.
Fantastic, thank you. So glad you could join us today. And Carolina, why don't you tell us a little about yourself and what you love about live events?
Sure, thanks, Kathy. I am Carolina Manco, and I am a program manager within the mixed reality organization at Microsoft. This is the organization that is home to the next generation technologies like HoloLens and Microsoft Mesh, and now the metaverse. And I guess my favorite thing about live events is it's those little moments that happen that you never really think about until they're not happening anymore. Things like having a chat at the concession stand, or high-fiving a stranger when your favorite song comes on, or even catching a selfie with an artist if you're lucky. So yeah.
Oh, fantastic, thank you. And Zaidi, why don't you tell us a little about yourself and what you love about being in person with people?
Hey everyone, it's a great pleasure to be here. I'm Zaidi. I'm Microsoft MVP for Windows development, specialized in mixed reality and HoloLens, currently based in Berlin. I lead a project on cultural heritage. And what I really miss from live events is the real interactions with people in the event. So exchanging about the projects together, having, for example, people bringing their game equipment with them, like VR devices, allowing others to try this. So this is, for example, what I really miss, the real interaction between people and exchanging and playing together directly games in events.
Fantastic. Well, thank you everyone for being here today. And thank you all of you for attending this session. I love the humans of IT. I am Kathy Moya, and I also work for Microsoft. Until recently, I worked for the Microsoft Endpoint Manager Customer Experience Engineering team. So I managed MVPs for a while. And just recently, I moved over to the mixed reality organization. But I don't work on AltSpace. I actually work on HoloLens and some of the auxiliary programs there. But I'm a huge fan of AltSpace VR and just ran 6 table topics in VR for the Microsoft Ignite event. So super excited to be able to talk about the kind of connection that we can build in VR. And what I'd like to do is talk to each of our panelists here and find out how you found virtual reality or extended reality, mixed reality, and how did you know that that was a place that you wanted to be, that it was something for you? And Zaid, we'll go back and we'll start with you. And I think you're also someone who can tell us a little about the difference between virtual reality and mixed reality and augmented reality and all of the different realities.
Of course, I have today also a HoloLens here with me. I think we cannot really see it here because of the background. So to explain this, I will just wear a HoloLens, the HoloLens. And if we want to define mixed reality, at the beginning, we need to define actually what is the meaning of reality. So reality means everything what we can perceive from our environment with our human senses. So when it comes to mixed reality has 2 subcategories, augmented reality and virtual reality. In augmented reality, we enhance the real world with digital content. We overlay the digital content over the real world. In virtual reality, we take the user into completely computer-generated worlds. So we can hang out with Einstein, we can go to Mars, we can go everywhere we want. So mixed reality means, again, a fusion between AR and VR. So we wear the HoloLens, we can see the environment, we can perceive everything around of us. So the HoloLens 2 has also hand interaction, hand recognition. So we can grab digital content and integrate it directly into the physical world, as if it's part of our real reality and world. Exactly.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, so tell us, how did you find your way into all of this?
Exactly, sure. So I'm originally I'm originally from Syria. I came to Germany around 8.5 years ago because of the war in my country. When I was a child in Syria, I always dreamed about technology and started my passion on tech, loving computer games. When I came to Germany, I joined here an NGO named Ready School of Digital Integration. This is a school that supports newcomers and refugees learn quality skills in tech to support them integrate into the IT world. Here I met mentors from Microsoft who encouraged me to join hackathons to learn, to apply the newly learned skills in practical projects and get to know and meet new technologies. So in 2018, for example, we visited the IoT hackathon in Berlin. We had a HoloLens with us at that time, and so the Microsoft mentors brought a HoloLens 1 with them, and at that time I really had no clue what is a HoloLens, and I was really sparked when I tried the HoloLens for the first time. So seeing 3D objects in our room, the galaxy in our room. So this was something unbelievable. I can't describe it. So it was a very, very great experience to me. And this is how I actually got into the mixed reality scene through, hackathons, which are for me a game changer. Plus the great network that I got through the mentors at Ready School, plus the mentors from Microsoft. So, and this extended then day by day, month by month, my interest and passion for this field.
Fantastic, thank you. And let's go to Alex next. So Alex, tell us how you found VR and how did you know, this was something you wanted to be doing?
Well, I'm not a gamer. I actually had zero experience with augmented reality, virtual reality until, say, the spring of last year, 2020. As I mentioned, I organize events, and so once we were forced to go virtual, we were looking for different ways that our audiences could interact and meet up, talk to one another. And we were lucky enough to get a demo from the AltSpace team on their product. So we got into AltSpace, and it was kind of amazing to me, honestly. Like, just the ability to move around, to turn. We had several people in the meeting getting the demo because we held the demo in AltSpace, so we were experiencing it as we were learning about it. And to be able to talk as a group, to be able to walk to different parts of the space to see the different features, to then break off, have one-on-one conversations or in trios, or even wander off by yourself. It just felt really natural for a virtual experience. So I got really excited about it. Started thinking about how can we integrate this into our event. They were holding Burning Man that summer, partially in AltSpace VR. So then I went and experienced the Playa and all that Burning Man has to offer. And after that, started looking for ways that we could organize some of our events for our internal conferences in AltSpace. So that's how I got started. I went from like zero to this feels supernatural very, very quickly.
Wow, thank you. Awesome. And Carolina, tell us a bit how you found VR and say, wow, I'm going to be doing this.
I love to say that I didn't find VR, but that it found me, rather. I have a pretty non-traditional background in that I'm a writer. And in the early 2010s, I was writing media literacy curricula for K through 12th graders, and that involved a lot of research and trying to find the latest and greatest in technology and what was being used in classrooms. And this is how I first sort of stumbled upon VR and fell in love pretty much immediately. In fact, my first ever VR experience was in an Oculus Rift DK2, which is pretty old school by today's standards. And I just remember getting goosebumps. And from that moment on, I sort of started down this path of falling in love with the technology and what it brings to people's lives and what possibilities really lie just beneath its surface. And so I ended up working after that as an event producer at a tech and storytelling conference called The Future of Storytelling. And through that, had the amazing opportunity to work with brands like Apple and Sundance and Meow Wolf and Oculus. And I have never looked back since, and I count myself incredibly lucky to be on the mixed reality team today at Microsoft.
Fantastic, thank you. And CR, I know you've been doing some amazing things. How did you start this journey into VR?
Well, I started this journey into VR. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you hear me okay? Okay, good. I started this journey into VR basically out of the womb, literally, when I was old enough to fell in love with science fiction. And my first thing was Star Trek, the holodeck. Seeing the holodeck and understanding that if they could do it in the movie, then that means the technology existed. And so my life has been about, I'm a huge gamer, so that's been my life. So from Star Trek to Star Wars, Darth Vader with Death Choke Grip, and The Sims. I was a huge player of The Sims and Sim City. So this has always been in my sphere. It's always been in my world, and I am so excited that the technology has caught up with my dreams. So finding AltSpace VR has been amazing. It's been a dream come true. Yeah.
Excellent. So actually, while we have you here, and I know we've got some video playing, let's just start with you for the next question, because I know you have some great experiences about this. Tell me about a real human connection that you had in the total virtual world.
So when we talk about human connection, for me personally, I came in to do business and to expand our arts organization. I wanted to be the first arts organization in VR and to really make a difference and see what we could do. What I didn't know that there was already a community that was there in AltSpace, so I made sure I took the time to get to know the actual people that were inhabiting these avatars. And so it's been an amazing 6-7 months, and my birthday was this past weekend, and they threw me a huge surprise party. It was amazing. MREs were created, big ass cake, and it was just as real. I boohoo-teared, cried, ugly tears, because I'd never had that experience before. It was hundreds of Abbeys that I had connected with and had connected with me, and they thought enough of our relationship that we developed to do that for me in this big, amazing way. And it was beyond amazing. And beyond that, I've met other people who we've been able to connect and create business for. There's Ryuzaki. I came to him with the idea of, hey, I need an actual, costume body for my cultural extravaganza to celebrate my culture. And that created a whole fashion business for him. And now he's selling bodies and original costuming and outfits for every avatar in AltSpace. There's Artsy, where I do all my work in. So being able to show and showcase her work with everything that we do. And she's the most amazing builder ever. There's Black Sands, who has a travel agency. We started filming an actual web series, or what I like to call a meta series, called Becoming the Moettes. Every Sunday, more than 200 to 300 Abbeys get together, and we watch this series that features the community at the Harlem Film House Metaverse with the community. It's amazing. You talk about real human connection. This is where it's at, baby. Yes. Oh, and we did a huge cross-platform event. So the metaverse is thriving, and it thrives on you and I inside of these goggles, whichever you choose to wear. It's amazing. It really
or even
is.
without goggles.
Or even, right. 2D, the Mac, the PC, the accessibility of AltSpace is what made it our choice. We've been doing research and development on how to get my company in here for about a year. And then I stumbled on the AltSpace, and that was it for me. That was it. And the challenge comes in converting the non-believers into meta-believers. So that's where we stand right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so let's actually go to Carolina next, because that is an interesting point about, believers and non-believers, as someone who works actually on the AltSpace team, and I'm sure sees a lot of this. So Carolina, tell us about a real human connection that you've had as a result of virtual reality.
Absolutely. I have to say, I think my first day on the AltSpace team was one of my most memorable VR experiences, because within hours of having showed up to my new desk with my new computer, I was meeting the whole team in VR in AltSpace, where we would do our weekly stand-up meetings, and it was surreal, and it was really amazing and magical. And I just remember having this feeling of, I couldn't believe it was happening, that I was working on a VR platform, and here I was in VR, and my coworkers were right next to me, even though they weren't actually. We were all kind of spread across a big open office space. And honestly, I've just had really amazing experiences that mirror that one over and over in AltSpace and in many other platforms as well. I also think there's a lot of really beautiful and powerful 360 documentary videos, and some of the most profound moments, I think, for me that I've had in VR have been in experiences like Notes on Blindness, which came out in 2015 and is based off of the diary recordings of a man who is experiencing the loss of his eyesight, and that is done in VR. And for anyone who hasn't experienced that particular piece, I do highly recommend it. It's a great sort of introductory, experience in VR, just to really hammer home the power of the medium.
Love it. Thank you. And Alex, why don't you tell us about a real human connection you had in virtual reality?
Sure, I can tell you a couple quick ones. I mentioned that I had really experienced it for the first time in Burning Man, and I'm a little bit of an introvert, and so if I had gone to Burning Man, I would not be walking up and just talking to random people in their tents and their reply and everything, but I was able to do that online for some reason. It just felt more natural, and I met this one person who, she's like a yoga meditation instructor. She lives in rural Canada and really enjoys small town life, but also really enjoys connecting with people around the world. And her avatar had these amazing like gossamer dragonfly wings that she had built. It was just really cool. So, just being able to talk to people I'd never met before, for some reason, the experience really mediates that for me a lot better. And then another one was just recently, I was attending an event at Microsoft, and they were running a trade show type session in a VR. So I was wandering the floor and I ran into someone who I'd done work with several times over the past 5 or 6 years. And we just started talking, and I learned she was leaving Microsoft. She was leaving just in a couple of days. And so I had a chance to say goodbye to her in a sense. I mean, she's just leaving the company, but still our last conversation as coworkers. And, it was just, we'd been out of the office, not going into the office for, 18 months or whatever. And so we wouldn't have had a chance to have that conversation. I would just have gotten an email from her saying she was leaving, which I might have replied to, but we never probably would have set up a meeting just to talk. And just to have that 5 or 10 minutes to say goodbye and wish her the best with what comes next for her, that was a real moment of connection for me.
Oh, thank you. Okay, and Zaid, I know you've been doing some really amazing things with people and with artifacts, and I think we might even have some pictures that we can show about some work that you've done.
Sure, of course. Yeah, let's have a flashback to the year 2007. Today, I'm actually 21 years old. In 2007, I was a young child. We visited together with my family the antique city of Palmyra in Syria. Palmyra is an ancient Roman antique city in Syria. In the middle of the Syrian desert. It dates back for around 4,000 years. I remember when we visited the antique city with family, my sister and I went through the monuments. We saw the beauty of the monuments at that time, also hearing some stories from the locals. So about the importance of the city, about about the city and its artifacts. This was really inspiring. Here in the image in front, we see the ancient city of Palmyra, containing several monuments like the Triumphal Arch, temples to honor the god of Bel, and an amphitheater. These monuments, unfortunately, were completely destroyed in the war in Syria. When we want to speak about an antiquity or monument, we draw our awareness and consciousness to objects of the past. So this is what we call actually historical awareness. So when we, as viewers, interact with these monuments, if that's haptically feeling them, hearing some historical stories about these, speaking with locals about the monuments, we create a feeling of an interest to preserve these monuments, and a motivation to keep these alive. Exactly. And here we can see, for example, the Roman amphitheater in Palmyra. Here in 2016, after the city has been captured by ISIS, it became a place of execution. We have here a picture before and after the destruction. We can't recognize much of the facade of the monument. We see here the triumphal arch of Palmyra before and after the destruction. Also, unfortunately, we cannot recognize anything of the monument. And here in 2019, an idea merged to my mind on connecting my personal experience with a newly learned mixed reality technology. My aim and goal is to visualize the historical monuments of Palmyra, bringing them back to life using HoloLens and mixed reality technology, creating in the viewer and the users of the experience historical awareness, which means we draw our attention to objects of the past, having different interaction possibilities, building partly building the destroyed monuments, being in the experience involved. All of these creates in us a motivation to preserve these monuments and bring them back to life. So I aim. I don't aim that. Okay, we wear now the HoloLens, rebuild Palmyra virtually, and tomorrow we go together to Palmyra and build the monuments together. But I would like really to create this motivation that we can, all of us, maybe in the future, people could lead ways to be part in a future reconstruction. Exactly. So also, it might some people could think, why don't we use mixed virtual reality for this solution? It is actually a subjective opinion. So some people would love to try this experience, for example, directly with a HoloLens, as, for example, when we want to visit a museum, we want to have actually this feeling that we are going to the museum, and we want to have this experience, have the nice feeling that we are in a historical place, and at the same time we enhance the real world with the digital content. In this case, we can view the monuments of Palmyra, interact with them, and at the same time be physically in the museum.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're gonna have to wrap up here, but I really, thank all of you for being here. All of you are doing fascinating things, and the world out there is doing fascinating things. There's the quote that the future is here; it's just not evenly distributed yet. And so you're seeing some people who are in the future who are using this, and I really encourage you to go and check some of these out. In the chat, somebody was asking for ways to get started, and AltSpace VR is Microsoft's VR platform. It is totally free. You do not need a VR headset, just a Mac or a PC app. There is no mobile app, unfortunately, but Mac or PC will work out there. And I just encourage you to explore, go and meet people virtually in the reality. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys, and visit us in all space at the Harlem Film House Metaverse. The world code is XXK997. XXK997. Come visit us. We're always open.
Put it in the announcements, CR,
Okay,
so people can
gotcha.
find you there. Find us in Altspace.
Yes. Okay, make announcement. Okay, are we still live? Yes. XXK997. We're always playing music. We're always doing something fly over there. You'll also be able to find community events that's happening for the culture. So come through, roll through. We'd really love to see all of you there. It's the Harlem Film House Metaverse.